an employee or a worker works. Next, we come to disposal of waste and effluents. Now, disposal of waste and effluents in any organization or in a factory, it should be done like either disposing it on a daily basis. There should be effective arrangements for the treatment of waste, either thrashing of your papers, or how is it that the manufacturing process carried out, or how is it that there should be an outlet, or there should be a proper mechanism which has to be followed. Otherwise, this is hazardous to the health of the workers. Next is ventilation and temperature. I say ventilation, it should provide that every factory should make a suitable and effective provision so that it has proper ventilation for the circulation of the air. And also, not only the ventilation, there should be circulation of air, but the temperature which is there, it should be secured to the workers, reasonable conditions of comfort and prevent injury of health. So it should not be too humid, or it should not be too hot, or it should not be too cold. It should be something which a normal employee or a worker could exist or he can work with. So, what is reasonable temperature depends upon the circumstances of each cases in a factory. Like if it is working near fire, it should be accordingly maintained, or they should have proper ventilation so that it is not too hot that the employee's health is affected. Here with cleanliness and disposal of waste and effluents, there should be proper arrangements for having the circulation of fresh air. So for that fresh air, you can also keep the exhaust fans, etc. So cleanliness, disposal of waste and effluents, and ventilation and temperature. Next, we come to dust and fumes. This again usually happens in certain manufacturing processes or factories. While, like for example, we have chemical, textiles, or etc. There are a huge number of dust which generates a lot of dust, fumes, or other impurities. So there should be a proper outlet. It is very injurious to the health of the workers employed in such manufacturing work. So what should be the measure taken, adopted by in this respect? There should be effective measures that should be taken so that they don't inhale their dust and fume, which might be injurious to their health, and accumulation of dust, fumes, etc. in the workroom. So this inhalation should be avoided. For that, proper ventilation or outlet for these dust and fumes should be there. Wherever necessary, an exhaust appliance, like I said you earlier, wherever necessary, there should be an exhaust appliances that should be fitted as far as possible for the fresh air to come in. So to the point of origin of dust, fumes, or other impurities. In stationary internal combustion engine, an exhaust should be connected to the open air directly so that the smoke goes out. And in case of other internal, where you have internal combustion engines, effective measures should be taken to prevent the accumulation of fumes. If it is going out, it is well and good, but this might be injurious for the others who are located or situated, staying in and around that area. If it is in internal combustion engine, in that case, proper measures or effective measures should be taken to prevent the accumulation therein within the factory itself. Next, we come to artificial humidification. Now, what is humidification? We all hear of humid and all this stuff. Humidity means the presence of moisture in the air. Now, again, this comes in factories. In certain industries like cotton, textile, cigarette, etc., there are higher degree of humidity which is required for carrying out the manufacturing process. So, to maintain this, you require higher degree of humidity. So, for this process, humidity of the air is artificially increased. Now, what happens if the humidity of the air is artificially increased? It might be hazardous to the health. It might affect the health of workers. If this increase or decrease in humidity would adversely affect the health of workers. So, proper precautions should be taken, whether adopted by artificially increasing or prescribing the standards up to which you can increase or decrease the humidity. Regulating methods need to be adopted for if you are using artificial humidification. Then there should be certain precautions which can be given to the employees or the workers which can we can take, and they can also be ventilation and cooling of the air in the workroom, which can be helpful for the workers where they can be a bit relaxed. Clear with the first five: cleanliness, disposable of waste and effluents, ventilation and temperature, dust and fumes, and artificial humidification. Clear with the students?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I have a doubt now.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, cleanliness is basically we are removing the waste and all. Ma'am. Removing of waste
So
and
cleanliness is how clean you keep. It is not disposable of waste is different, and cleanliness is the work atmosphere in which you are working that has to be cleaned every day. Clear?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next is overcrowding. Now, what is overcrowding in a workplace? How can this be hazardous? There should be okay, not it might be a small place where too many people are employed or are working, or there are too many people working on the same project or something. So overcrowding in the workroom, it not only affects the workers, they will not be able to just imagine if there are so many workers and they are not comfortable, then they could be it would be not efficient, or they will not be able to discharge their duties efficiently, but this will also affect their health because they are not comfortable working. So it's one day it is okay, 2 days, every day it is become it is not okay for them for working in such an atmosphere. So this will not only affect the efficiency of the work or the duties that they do, but it will affect their health also. Now, the Factories Act says that in a factory there should be a minimum space. They have also given in meters or centimeters, whatever, that there is a minimum space which has to be maintained between two machines or between two workers, etc., which has to be followed by certain industries, so that there is no overcrowding. Even in corporates, we see that it is with one workstation to another workstation, there is a minimum, at least a minimum space, so that the person can move around. That space is provided. So that should be taken care of, and it should not be like everyone is sitting close to close, like how you sit in a classroom. Sitting in a classroom is different, while working is very different. So there should not be overcrowding. Next is lighting. This is a very important source. Now, if I do not provide proper lighting, it might be that it might affect the workers itself. It is self-explanatory again. Like if I do not have good lighting, it might affect my eyes, or other health factors would also be there, where I might faint also. So every factory must provide and maintain, if it is inside where it does not have sufficient artificial which is getting it, or it should be natural which we are getting. If there are windows, skylights, it should be kept clean on both the sides, not only interior, even exterior, no glare. Effective provision should also be made for the prevention of glare from the source of light. So if there is a glare, which I see like in the classrooms and all we sit, there is sun. If there's a glare, it might be for that point of time it will be glazed. We would not be able to see properly. So this might affect my work also, and it might also lead to accidents, etc. Next, we comes to drinking water. Now, this is one of the most important sources. Now, drinking water, it should be ensured that at every workplace, at every convenient points, there are drinking water which is free from any impurities, etc. It is a clean drinking water facilities which has to be provided, free from impurities or any chemicals, and it should be kept at a point which is convenient for all the workers as such. It should be not apart from this, it should also be taken into consideration that this drinking water facility should not be near areas where you have urinals or toiletries, or near any washrooms, or it should be near where you let out your waste, or in passage. It should be in a comfortable position where this drinking water is given and it is accessible to all the employees. And there should be sufficient, it is at a comfortable or a convenient place where it is given, so that the workers can have an access to it even while they are working. It should not be at a point where they are not able to reach also. lighting and drinking water. I hope all of you would be able to write it in your own words if you've understood it. Overcrowding, lighting, and drinking water. Next, we come to latrines and urinals, which is your washrooms. Now, this is the most essential where most of the unhygiene or we call sick. Every factory should have a provision for sufficient number of latrines and urinals at prescribed standards. The space between them, how many of it that you should have, according to the number of employees you have, you should have sufficient number of washrooms in your workplace. Separate arrangements should be made for male and female workers. All these places should have sufficient suitable provisions for lighting, there should be ventilation, and there should also be water facility throughout. And this should not be kept, there should be workroom, or they should not be near your workroom, which might be effective or which should be hazardous to the, which would not make the workers comfortable. So it should be away from your workplace area, and most importantly, it is essential that you have a sweeper who is employed whole purposely only for this cleaning this latrines and urinals. Clear with this, students? Till here. Now, what is spittoons? All of us are aware of it. What is spittoons? No one. Yes, at least try. Spittoons is a place where you spit. So every factory should have sufficient number of spittoons situated at convenient places so that the workers or the employees do not spit here and there, and they spit only in the place which is meant for. If they spit here and there, it might be injurious, because now even because of corona we see that we ensure that no one spits outside. It can be causing. So the same goes with your workplace also. Even in a normal, if to keep the place clean and tidy, it is very necessary that you have spittoons. Now, clear with all these health measures which has to be adopted by the workers, I'll just go through it once again. If you have any doubts, let me know. The first one is cleanliness, which relates to keeping your work area clean, sweeping it, mopping it, washing it every week, and there should be a proper disposal of water where it is let out. Proper let out for water should also be there. Disposal of waste and effluents, proper mechanism should be followed where every day these waste and effluents are disposed and thrown. Otherwise, this might be dangerous for the health of workers. Ventilation, there should be circulation for the circulation of fresh air. There should be proper ventilation where you have windows, doors, etc. And the temperature in which you work should be normal, in which a human being can work. Dust and fumes, this all goes in certain manufacturing or production industries where there are dust and fumes which are very harmful. So the workers must be taken precaution where they are given a mask or something which they can wear so that it is not affecting their health, or they can be proper outlet of these dust and fumes, especially the fumes. There should, if it is internal combustion, there should be a proper outlet which goes, and the health of workers should be taken into consideration. It does not affect them. So there should be a proper mechanism of outlet for these fumes, either externally or internally. Artificial humidification, this is something new. Now, what is humid is something which is a moisture which is present in the air. So, certain industries we require that the humid or the process itself, the production process itself requires that we increase the humid, or only increased humid that we can work. So, in certain these circumstances, whether an increase or decrease might affect the health. So, precautionary measures should be taken so that this humidification does not affect the health of workers. Next, we did with overcrowding, wherein the minimum space required where each employee or a worker works, it should not be overcrowded, but a minimum space should be kept. Lighting, reflective, either artificial or the natural light, it should be properly lighted so that it does not affect the eyes or if you have a glazed, it does not provide glare, because if there is a glare or a formation of shadow, it can affect the eye. And if the eyes are too strainy, this can be a risk to accident by any worker. So this should all be prevented. Drinking water, this is the most important thing, and every factory should make effective arrangements for sufficient supply. It's not sufficient supply of drinking water for all the workers as long as they are working, and it should be at a convenient place, free from all impurities, and it should be situated in such a point where it is accessible by the workers. It's not too long or too short, but it should be accessible by the workers any point of time, even while they are working. Latrines and urinals, we already did that. The sufficient number of washrooms should be prescribed, but the prescribed standard should be there. Separate arrangements should be made for male and female, and all these spaces have to be, there should be a provision that there is proper ventilation, there is proper water, and there is proper lighting. And most importantly, it should be in a place which does not hinder the workroom. So it should be in a separate place and not near the drinking water or near the passage or any such thing. And lastly, we did with spittoons. Spittoons are places where an employee or a worker can spit, so that he does not spit anywhere in the campus or anywhere in the work area. So separate spittoons should be situated at convenient places, which would be helpful or which is important for a hygiene condition. Is that clear, students? Any doubts in this? Health measures of workers, cleanliness, disposable of waste and effluent, ventilation and temperature, dust and fumes, artificial humidification, overcrowding, lighting, drinking water, latrines and urinals, and spittoons. Any doubts on these, students?
No, ma'am.
With regard to the health measures, very important. You can expect this in your 15 marks semester exams. What are the health, safety, and welfare measures provided by the factory to the workers or employees? With the safety measures, we will do tomorrow. Tomorrow, I don't think. Yeah, you do have a class tomorrow. Okay, we'll see. Whenever you have the next class, we will have it within. Okay, what was it that we were discussing last class, Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
What were we discussing in the last class? Okay, let me give you something with regard to the health itself and the HRM. Now, this is an person. He is a prisoner who had been in prison for 4 years. Once he comes out, he suffers from tuberculosis, and he claims that because of the dust where he was working in the prison, he is coming, or this disease has come, tuberculosis has come for him. Now, can he sue the prison authorities for this? I repeat, I have a prisoner who has been in prison for 4 years. After he comes or he is diagnosed with tuberculosis, and this is because of the dust. This is because of the dust which was where he was working in the prison. So can he claim, or can he sue the prison for it, or can he make the prison authorities responsible for his disease? Yes, students.
Yes, ma'am.
Who is that? Yes, ma'am.
Jayesh, ma'am.
Jayesh. Okay, explain why yes.
Ma'am, first of all, we send people to prison so that they do not come as the same person they went in. So we have to provide them a proper environment inside the prison as well. So that is what I think, ma'am.
So, is the prisoner right in suing, or can we tell? Can